very much, Mr. President, my dear colleagues in the Senate. For only the second time in my entire 6 years in this chamber, I am compelled to rise on a matter of personal and collective privilege today to express my grave disappointment over the process by which this body ratified the 2025 Bicameral Conference Committee report and my utter and complete dismay over what the Congress has submitted as the budget of the Republic for the year 2025. Paumpisa ngayon ang piyesta ng pelikula, ang Metro Manila Film Festival. Ngunit ang umaalingaw-ngaw sa aking isipan ay ang dating sigaw, walang himala? Wala nga bang himala sa nakalipas na Bicam? 10 ng sambayanan, pakiwari ko na may himalang naganap. Nalabag sa patakaran natin dito sa Kongreso. Himalang lihim na ginawang pulubi ang Pilipinong animoy nanlilimos at naghihirap sa harap ng mga ganid at makapangyarihan. Maging ang ating Pangulo, aking kapatid, ay nagduda na at nagpapasalamat ako na kaninang umaga ipinagpaliban muna ng palasyo ang pagpirma ng 2025 budget sa Biyernes, ika-20 ng Disyembre. Sila rin kaya, tulad ko ay nagtatanong, wala bang himala? Babalangkasing ko ang mga pangyayari. 22 July 2024, the President submitted the proposed national budget to Congress, the NEP. August 15, 2024, the Senate began conducting budget hearings at the subcommittee level. As the Vice Chairman of the subcommittee charged with the budget of the DSWD, I conducted 2 hearings on the DSWD budget on 16 September 2024 and 14 October 2024. Fraught by my experience last year when a certain ACAP was inserted into the DSWD budget and 12 billion was added to the COMELEC budget to allow the conduct of a plebiscite on a people's initiative. Yung malaking panlilin lang sa sambayanan na pirma na sa panahon din ng Kapaskuhan, pilit na isinagawa ng iilan like a thief in the night, ika nga. Lumiham pa ako sa aking Pangulo ng Senado sa pamamagitan ng ating Finance Chairperson, Senator Grace Poe, na natanggap ng kanilang mga opisina noong ika-5 ng Nobyembre 2024. Nakiusap ako sa kanilang gawing klaro ang Bicameral Conference at magkaroon ng diskusyon kasama ang mga miyembro ng Kongreso bago magsimula ang formal na pagpupulong sa Bicam. Dapat konsultahin muna mga Vice Chair ng Committee on Finance tungkol sa inimumungkahing pagbabago sa budget ng mga ahensyang nasa ilalim nila. Pati na rin ang mga malaking pagbabago sa GAB ay dapat pinag-uusapan ng mga miyembro bago ipasa. Na walang lihim, walang gulatan, higit sa lahat, walang himala. Sa hindi maalamang dahilan, wala akong natanggap na kahit anong tugon. Hindi pinakinggan ang aking pakiusap. A caucus among the senators was held on the 26th of November 2024. This would have been a good time to discuss the concerns that I and many of my colleagues had on the transparency of the Bicam process. To my disappointment, the budget was not even raised in the caucus. On November 28, 2028, the first bicameral conference meeting was finally conducted. Senator Bato de la Rosa manifested that before the members of the Bicam be asked to sign the Bicam report, they must first be given enough time to read it over and over again and check everything para hindi naman tayo magmukhang tanga after signing. Senator Grace Poe acceded to his request. Notwithstanding the request of Senator Bato and the agreement thereto of Senator Poe, no Bicam report was given to me and many, if not most of my colleagues before the date designated for the signing of the Bicam report. Dumating ang ika-11 ng Disyembre, ang petsa ng pangalawa at huling Bicam meeting. Uulitin ko po, ang ikalawa at huling meeting nitong Bicam na ito. Minabuti kong hanapin ang mga papeles at dokumento bago sana magsalita at magbigay ng anuman reaksyon. Ngunit sa kasamaang palad, hanggang ngayon lahat kami ay nangangapa sa dilim. Walang mga detalye o paliwanag, ni walang konkretong numero. Ang tanging hawak ko ay ilang datos ng DSWD na tila nilapastangan, sabay ang PhilHealth, sabay na rin ang DepEd. Kaya't sa kabila ng pagnanais kong makisama, hindi ako pumipirma sa kahit anong papel hinggil sa BICAM report na yan. At nagsusulong magbawas ng pera sa mga lehitimong proyekto para lamang ipasok ang akap, lakihan ng labis-labis ang MAIP, at pagpiestahan ang DPWH. Paano naman ako pipirma sa blankot kulang-kulang na papel? The majority of the Senate contingent signed the signature page of the BICAM report. However, several of the senators soon refused to sign the rest of the report when they saw the drastic and inexplicable changes reflected therein. It was only at 6:14 p.m., much later that day, that my office finally received through an email, apparently a signed copy of the BICAM report. At approximately 8:20 p.m., members of the Senate purportedly ratified the BICAM report viva voce of the 2025 General Appropriations Bill. Uulitin ko po, purportedly ratified. Malaking himala. Sabi nga nung dekada 70, ayos na ang buto-buto. Nakakalungkot ang nangyayaring ito, and we should all be disheartened by the manner our BICAM was conducted, by the means the BICAM report was ratified. It is, after all, a very important, perhaps the single most important piece of legislation we pass each year. Isang yumaong miyembro ng Senado ang nirerespeto ng lahat na si Senator Dominador Aitona, anak ng Bicol, once defined the national budget, the General Appropriations Act, as the economic program of government designed for the people's benefit in numbers and figures rather than words and letters. This week, the greatest power of the legislature, the power of the purse, has been trivialized and wantonly squandered. Ito ba talaga ang BICAM report? Ang programa ng gobyerno para sa sambayang Pilipino na hirap na sa buhay? O para sa kapakanan ng iilan lamang? I also attempted to obtain a CCTV footage of the reported ratification of the 2025 BICAM report. For some incomprehensible reason, the Senate Secretariat refused to oblige, alleging that a non-existent data privacy regulation prohibited my being provided a copy. They seem to forget the sessions in the Senate are public and are even live-streamed nationally. Nonetheless, the transcript reveals that the viva voce voting was conducted. Did we bother to ascertain how many senators were actually present on the floor at the time? I certainly was no longer there, and so many other senators had determined to depart. Would it have hurt to check if, as a parent, on so many other online videos, there were a mere 13 members present? As already pointed out, some of the members of the Senate only signed the signature page. After years as the Appropriations Vice Chairman for the opposition in the House, I know that it is custom and tradition as well in the Senate to sign each and every page. And since some of the senators, having never seen the BICAM report until that instant, refused to sign all the pages in the Senate copy of the BICAM report, would it not have been prudent to determine why did they refuse before proceeding to ratify it? Napirmahan nga ba ito? O isa na namang himala ang buo, kompleto, kada pahinang pagpirma ng mga senador natin? More disturbing is the fact that the BICAM report was ratified even though at the time there was no final version of the 2025 GAB report. Is it not the BICAM report that was supposed to embody all the changes that the bill had undergone during the BICAM conference? How can the BICAM committee release a BICAM report for the 2025 GAB when the actual 2025 GAB was still being finalized? Sunod-sunod, linuluto pa, at walang patid ata itong kababalaghan. Even as I speak, the final version of the 2025 General Appropriations Bill is yet to be printed. As late as yesterday, the 17th of December, those in charge of the budget, the real BICAM, are still trying to massage the budget. Masahe pa po. Allocating and adjusting among themselves and their associates the infrastructure and other projects so that those who are in their good graces get a piece of the proverbial pie. Some may argue that what will be contained in the GAB is reflected in the BICAM report and that therefore it's not necessary for the GAB to be finalized before the BICAM report is released. Allow me to show you what the 2025 BICAM report actually looks like, at least in general terms. As an example, the DPWH budget has now bloated to a 1.113 trillion. The BICAM report shows that a total of 350,483 was added, while 61.834 was deducted, resulting in a net increase of 288.65 from the BICAM bill. In the summary report, there is a mere single line as an explanation for this massive increase, simply stating various infrastructure projects. This runs counter to our rules. You and I know that under Rule 12, Section 35 of the Rules of the Senate, the committee report must contain a detailed and sufficiently explicit statement of the changes or amendments to the subject measure. The same section also provides there must be a comparative presentation of the conflicting House and Senate provisions and a reconciled version thereof, along with explanatory statement of the BICAM. Instead of that detailed explanation and comparative presentation demanded by our rules, we only got various infrastructure projects. VIPs pala. VIPs meaning very important persons. Sino-sino kaya sila? Gaya na sambit ko, hinihimay pa ang himala. Pero para sa ilang mga VIPs, real talk, can anyone in this chamber, this August chamber, ascertain what are these infrastructure projects by just looking at the BICAM report? Can any of us determine what is included and comprising the additional 350 additional funding to DPWH, as well as the projects and programs defunded as part of the 61.834 reduction? I plowed through that BICAM report, which I did not sign, hoping against all odds that there was a better explanation somewhere. Alas, there is not even a joint explanation narrating what these changes were about and why they came about. The explanation, therefore, of the 288.65 billion increase in DPWH is once again various infrastructure projects, ang mahiwagang VIP. Ang hinihimala pa nga, very important persons, very important party lists kaya? When we were asked to sign the BICAM report, did any one of us have any idea what specific projects were being funded? If our job is to decide which programs or projects are funded, then we are remiss in fulfilling our obligations by approving a BICAM report that explains the 288.65 billion increase in DPWH with just 3 miserable words. Habang masusing sinusuri ng ating mga kababayan ang bawat detalye ng kanilang resibo sa grocery, ang bill sa kuryente para tiyakin tama ang bawat sentimo kanilang binabayaran, tayo naman dito sa Senado ay tila kontento ng pumayag sa 288 bilyong dagdag gamit lang ang tatlong matalinhagang salita, VIP, various infrastructure projects. Sa totoo lang, ginagawa pa ba natin ang ating trabaho? Worse, the committee allotted a smaller budget to education than it did to DPWH, contrary to the clear command of Article 14, Section 5, Paragraph 5 of the Constitution, which requires that the state shall at all times assign the highest budgetary priority to education. Far from addressing the learning crisis and the decreasing digital divide, the BICAM cut 11 billion from the budget of DepEd, including 10 billion from the proposed computerization program. Sinabi ng Pangulo nung Lunes sa isang interview na ibabalik niya ang budget para sa computerization. Pero base sa BICAM report, ang suma total para sa edukasyon ay 925 billion lamang. At ito na ang kinukumpunin ng DepEd, ng SUKS, ng CHED at ng TESDA, 12 billion pa sa iba't ibang mga educational institutions. In contrast to that budget of 925, DPWH has a budget of 1.113 trillion. which is 188 billion more than the entire budget allocation for education. I need not explain further what a travesty this makes of our Constitution. Kahiya-hiya tayo. Habang ang buong mundo ay pasulong ng modernisasyon at komputerisasyon, gusto ba natin lumakad ng paurong? Pabalik sa panahon ng typewriter? Sa abacus? Tanggap na ba natin ang matinding krisis sa edukasyon? Tigilan na ang turuan at pagsisisi. Higit sa lahat, sundan naman natin ang utos ng ating konstitusyon. Huwag natin tipirin at talikuran ang ating mga anak na waring pinagbili na lamang natin para sa marurupok na dike at kanal. Iilang plastic road barrier at street light at syempre ang walang katapusang dredging. I come to DSWD, the agency whose budget I heard, sponsored and defended before the Senate plenary, never once hearing any mention of the controverted AKAP. Under the 2025 NEP or the President's budget, the proposed budget was 229.787 billion. Neither did the GAB from Congress make any mention of AKAP. After the hearings, the Senate proposed a DSWD budget already increasing by 233.860 billion, retaining the amendment for 3.4 billion sustainable livelihood, QRF 500, and AKAP again was nowhere to be found in the Senate's version. Suddenly, to our shock and dismay, in the BICAM report, AKAP was resurrected with a total of 26.159 billion. There are even reports which I neither can confirm or deny that 21 billion will be allocated to members of the House of Representatives. 5 billion will be for senators. Each member who is given such an allocation may then dictate who the beneficiaries of their allocated portions will be and when the money will be distributed, contrary to the principle of the separation of powers and the ruling of the Supreme Court in Belgica versus Ochoa. But muli, ayan ba ang himala? 26 billion na panakip butas, 26 billion na dapat sana ay lunas, sa halip ay inutas-utas. Ayun pala, ang pondo naman pala sa 4Ps, tinapyasan ng 50 billion. Pinangangambahan mahigit 4.4 million na pamilya na tinaguri ang poorest of the poor ang hindi makakatanggap ng anumang tulong, anumang benepisyo para sa kanilang pamasahe, pagkain, edukasyon, gamot at iba pa. Bukod dito, tinapyasan din ng mahigit kalahating bilyon ang sustainable livelihood exit strategy nitong mga 4Ps. At tinanggal din ang 2.7 billion cash for work para sa PWD, graduating students, at 3.3 billion sa ating mga magsasaka at mangingisda. Ang suma total na kinaltas sa pinakamahihirap ng ating lipunan ay 94 billion lamang. Universal healthcare was supposed to be prioritized. This is the reason that PhilHealth next year, in clear violation of Section 37 FRA 11223 or the Universal Healthcare Act, which provides the national government subsidy to PhilHealth, is not to be included in the GAA, and instead, PhilHealth will have a zero subsidy next year. Tama nga ba ito o isa na namang himala? Habang ang ating mamayan ay nagkukumahog mabayaran ang kanilang premium sa PhilHealth, nagdesisyon na lamang tayo basta't ihinto ang kontribusyon ng pamahalaan at salakayin na lamang ang trust fund ng PhilHealth. Ngunit ang may dahilan daw, pinaparusahan ng mga namamahala sa PhilHealth dahil hindi nila inuubos ang kanilang budget para sa serbisyong pangkalusugan ng taong bayan. Kung katangahan at kabuktutan ng namamahala ng PhilHealth ang problema, solusyon bang parusahan ang mga naghihikasos na mga pasyente? Di pa sapat ang 90 billion excess ng PhilHealth na kinuha. Yung MOU ng nag-iisang party list, sisiruhin pa talaga ang PhilHealth, pati na rin ang ating mga nabubulok na mga ospital. Para lang madagdagan ng limpak-limpak na salapi ang mait medical assistance na nagmula sa NEP 26 billion lang, lumobo sa 72 billion sa Kongreso at nariyan 41 billion sa BICAM report. Nang dahil sa bilyong-bilyong MAIP, ang mahihirap na pasyente na sa ilalim ng PhilHealth ay may karapatan magpagamot, ngayon nangangailangan pumila manikluhod sa ilang sikat na opisyal. Ang pambansang budget na walang alokasyon para sa kalusugan ay parang pandemya. Kung paano ang isang sakit ay kumakalat at nag-iiwan ng pangamba, ganon din ang epekto ng kakulangan sa pondo para sa kalusugan. Mas maraming buhay ang nalalagay sa peligro, mas maraming tao ang nababagabag, mas maraming sakit ang nauuwi sa tiyak na kamatayan. And all that bravado and tough talk on defending the West Philippine Sea, please, it's all clearly just for show. Pakitang gilas lang pala, ang angas-angas, walang pambili ng bala, tapang-tapangan. Dahil sa halip na dagdagan, tinawaran pa nila ng 15 billion ang budget para sa AFP. Maliit na nga kung tutuusin ng 50 billion, pero ngayon 35 na lang. Dinamay pa ang pensyon ng mga retiradong sundalo. Wala pa pensyon ng ating mga empleyadong nagserbisyo sa ating pamahalaan ng dekada-dekada. Wala ba talagang himala? The drastic cuts in priority programs and the realignment to unnamed, mysterious infrastructure VIP projects, as well as the politicized social protection, will be perceived in a brutal election year as simply vote buying. Where are the gap priority projects of the President from the 2024 SONA? Where is the Ilog-Pasig rehab, the 20-kilometer New Clark City access road, the PNR Bicol line, the expansion of the passenger terminal in General Santos, the Bicol International Airport? Have they been lost to patronage and to influence? Where is the Panguil Bridge, the Gicam Bridge, the Matibog Maridagao Irrigation Project, the Cabarwan solar-powered pumps in Quirino, Isabela? Did they make the cut? Various infrastructure projects. Sino yung mahihiwagang VIP na nagmamay-ari ng 1.1 trillion ng DPWH? We are making beggars of our citizens, improving healthcare and allowing PhilHealth to expand its services. It's zero subsidy today. Requires the poor to grovel for guarantee letters from politicians with programs such as MAIP to indigent patients. Instead of uplifting 4.4 families of 4 Ps from poverty and desperate need, they must now beg for AKAP. Instead of a comprehensive national flood control system in the world's most vulnerable country to climate change, we are victim yet again to those VIPs. Our desperation knows no measure. Nanawagan na ako sa aking kapatid, ang ating mahal na Pangulong Bongbong, na kung mahina ang aking boses mag-isa, ngayon nawa ay marinig mo ang sama-samang sumamon ng taong bayan. Hindi kailangan pang umabot sa veto, kundi ibalik na lamang sa BICAM tulad ng nangyari sa Magna Carta ng seafarers, ang anti-agricultural smuggling at iba't iba pang mga panukala. Huwag na munang pirmahan hanggat di pa nasasaayos muli nating mga mambabatas. Kahiya-hiya ito. Sa aking mga kapwang mambabatas, hindi pa huli ang lahat. Ang pagpapaliban ng Pangulo ng pagpirma ay hindi lamang pagbibigay ng pagkakataon sa mga mambabatas na itama ang maling gawain. Ito rin ay pagkakataon para sa administrasyon na iwasto ang mga kaalyado at bigyan ng limitasyon ng mga gampanin ng sang-ayon sa batas. Mahal kong mga senador, may pagkakataon pa tayong ibalik di lamang ang pondo sa wastong proyekto, kundi ibalik rin ang yinurakan dignidad at dangal ng bawat Pilipino. Maari pa natin talikdan ang ambisyon at bumalik sa linya ng serbisyo ng walang halong pamumulitika. Opo, eleksyon na sa susunod na taon. Tatakbo ako. Ngunit kung magpapadalos-dalos tayo rito, ang epekto ay pangmatagalang panahon. Alam ko po, ilang araw na lamang Pasko na. Ngunit hindi pa rin natin pinapahupa ang usapin dahil ang mga sikmura ng mga nangangailangan ay hindi naman nagbabakasyon. Ang mga kapuspalod ay walang selebrasyon. Gawin natin ang tama, ibigay ang nararapat sa karapat-dapat. Hindi ito aginaldo ngayong Pasko dahil yun naman ay para talaga sa kanila. Ang pagtulong ng walang masamang motibo ay regalo natin sa ating kapwa Pilipino. At ang paggawa ng tama ay ang pinakamagandang regalo natin sa ating sarili. Maligayang Pasko po sa ating lahat.